Have you ever paused to consider why certain individuals earn more in a single month than most people accumulate over an entire year? No, I'm not referring to CEOs comfortably seated in luxurious offices. I'm talking about jobs that quite literally imperil their lives every single day. Professions most of us couldn't even begin to fathom enduring for even a week. Today, you're about to uncover the stark reality behind the 7 most perilous occupations in the United States. And when I say extreme, I'm not employing hyperbole. I'm speaking of professions where a solitary misstep could easily forfeit your existence, where individuals toil under conditions pushing the absolute boundaries of human physicality and mental fortitude. And yes, the remuneration is as staggering as the inherent dangers. But here's a crucial detail no one typically shares. It's not solely the peril that warrants these astronomical compensations. A complex interplay of elements exists, which you absolutely must grasp before determining their true value. And I assure you, by the conclusion of this presentation, your perception of these professionals will be fundamentally altered. Brace yourselves, for what you're about to uncover could thoroughly reshape your entire outlook on labor, inherent danger, and ultimate remuneration. Our journey begins with an occupation that plunges individuals quite literally to the ocean's floor, where the crushing pressure is so immense it can obliterate a human body in mere seconds. Deep-sea saturation diver picture descending 300 meters below the ocean's surface. The hydrostatic pressure at that specific depth equates to having 30 full-sized automobiles stacked directly upon your frame. Absolute darkness envelopes everything. A bone-chilling cold permeates even the most cutting-edge thermal gear. And you're not down there for mere minutes. You remain submerged for weeks on end. Such is the daily existence of a saturation diver. These highly specialized individuals primarily operate within the Gulf of Mexico, executing critical maintenance on offshore oil and gas platforms. But here's the truly astonishing revelation. They do not ascend to the surface at the close of their shift. Instead, they reside within pressurized decompression chambers for extended periods, often spanning weeks, occasionally even a full month. Why, you ask? Because daily ascents and descents would inevitably induce decompression sickness, a condition capable of lethal consequences within minutes. Consequently, they remain confined to these minuscule chambers, roughly the interior dimensions of a modest transit van, eating, sleeping, and simply existing under an unyielding constant pressure. When work beckons, they transfer into a specialized diving bell, which then transports them directly to the seabed. The labor itself is relentlessly brutal. You're welding colossal metal structures, meticulously cutting pipelines, inspecting intricate machinery, all while battling formidable oceanic currents capable of sweeping you away as if you possessed no mass whatsoever. Your hands grow so profoundly cold that tactile sensation in your fingertips barely registers the tools you wield. Communication links to the surface can sever without warning at any second. And should anything go awry hundreds of meters below, rescue efforts are far from assured. Now comes the burning question, the one everyone silently ponders. What financial compensation do these individuals command? Prepare yourself. A novice saturation diver in the United States typically commences their career earning between $50,000 and $80,000 annually. Does that seem substantial? Hold on. Experienced professionals, however, can readily exceed $150,000 per annum. And the true veterans, those possessing over a decade of field experience and specialized certifications, can see their yearly earnings approach a staggering $300,000. But here lies the absolutely pivotal detail that truly underscores these figures. You aren't merely exchanging your time and skill set. You are, in essence, bartering away years of your very existence. Empirical studies consistently reveal that saturation divers face a demonstrably curtailed life expectancy. The incessant exposure to extreme hyperbaric conditions inflicts irreparable harm upon the nervous system, precipitates severe cardiac issues, and accelerates bone degeneration. But before we move on to the subsequent extreme professions, there's a small favor I'd ask of you. If this content has piqued your interest, go ahead and subscribe to the Salary Uncovered channel right now. Make sure to hit that notification bell, ensuring you won't miss any future uploads. And forward this to anyone you know who constantly gripes about their current employment. I promise you, after watching this, they'll likely rethink their usual grievances. Your support genuinely assists me in continuing to deliver high-quality content right to your screen. All set? Great. Then let's move on to the next profession. One that will undoubtedly leave you even more astounded. Bering Sea crab fishery. If you've ever watched an episode of those Alaskan fishing shows, you might have a faint glimmer of what I'm about to describe. But truly, the actual conditions are far more brutal than any camera could ever hope to convey. The Bering Sea, situated between Alaska and Russia, holds the grim distinction of being one of the planet's most treacherous bodies of water. 15-meter waves are not just frequent, they're the norm. Water temperatures hover chillingly between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius. Plunge into these waters, and you're granted a mere 3 to 5 minutes before hypothermia claims your consciousness. The survival rate for such an event is effectively 0. Crab fishermen toil under these exact conditions throughout the fishing season, which unfolds during winter's most brutal months. They remain at sea for weeks on end, enduring grueling 20-hour shifts daily. Yes, you read that correctly. 20 hours of unrelenting physical labor, battling weather that most individuals couldn't withstand for even 20 minutes. The arduous task involves deploying and retrieving crab pots, each weighing a staggering 300 to 400 kilograms. These colossal traps are hoisted from the ocean floor with cranes and steel cables. Should one snap, it can sever a limb or result in instant fatality. The ship's deck remains perpetually encased in ice, transforming every single step into a perilous game of Russian roulette. One slip, and you're either plunged into the frigid ocean or crushed beneath a descending pot. But here's the truly mind-boggling aspect. There's no fixed salary involved. Fishermen operate on a quota system. This implies that the more crabs you manage to haul in, the greater your earnings. Conversely, a poor season means you might have gambled your very life for next to nothing. However, when the season proves bountiful, the financial figures are nothing short of astonishing. A novice fisherman, for instance, might pull in anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 during a 2 to 3 month season. Experienced veterans, however, can readily pocket between $80,000 and $120,000 in that very same time frame. And the vessel captains? They stand to earn up to $300,000 in just one successful season. Consider the math with me. If one works 3 months and nets $120,000, that translates to an annual salary of $480,000, assuming year-round employment in this field. But that's simply not feasible. Physically, it's an impossibility. Your body just wouldn't endure it. The toll these professionals pay, however, extends far beyond mere monetary compensation. Many develop chronic back ailments, suffer from obliterated knees, experience hearing loss from the incessant engine roar, and battle post-traumatic stress disorder after witnessing fellow crew members perish at sea. Hard statistics reveal that Bering Sea crab fishing boasts one of the highest occupational mortality rates across the United States, registering roughly 30 times more fatalities than the national average for other professions. Communication tower technician now. Let's ascend from the treacherous waters and reach for the sky. Quite literally. Do you happen to suffer from aquaphobia? If so, this next occupation will undoubtedly make your stomach churn just at the mere thought. Tower technicians, the people behind our connected world, take on the critical task of setting up, servicing, and fixing the intricate antennas and related gear perched atop cellular and broadcast transmission structures. And by top, I mean altitudes that can range from a substantial 90 meters all the way to a truly astonishing 600 meters. Just to put that in perspective, the Empire State Building stands at 380 meters. Picture yourself ascending a metal behemoth 600 meters into the sky. No elevators exist here. Instead, you're hauling over 20 kilograms of specialized equipment, meticulously climbing, rung after rung. Each foot placement demands calculation. Every single motion must be precise. And all this unfolds as winds howl at 80 kilometers per hour, making the entire structure sway, much like a slender tree branch in a storm. Upon finally reaching the apex, the actual labor commences. You're then tasked with installing or repairing vital equipment, all while suspended precariously by safety lines. But here's a chilling fact. Even outfitted with comprehensive safety gear, This occupation carries an alarming fatality rate. From 2006 to 2015, 100 tower technicians died solely in the United States. That figure translates to a death every 36 days. The culprits? Fatal plunges predictably top the list. Yet, fatalities also stem from electric shocks when contacting live wires, from falling tools or components striking workers below, and even from the catastrophic structural failure of the towers themselves. And these aren't merely rookie mistakes. A significant number of these tragic deaths involve seasoned veterans, often due to a fleeting lapse in concentration or an unforeseen equipment malfunction. The profound psychological toll of this profession often goes unacknowledged. Perched 600 meters up, your brain instinctively shifts into survival mode. Every fiber of your being screams for you to descend immediately. You are forced to actively override primal instincts just to perform the required tasks. And enduring this, day in and day out, extracts an immense cumulative mental price. Let's pivot to the financial compensation. Entry-level technicians typically earn between $40,000 and $55,000 annually. Hardly an exceptional sum, especially when weighed against the inherent dangers. However, as expertise grows and specialized certifications are acquired, these figures shift dramatically. Technicians boasting 5 to 10 years of field experience command salaries ranging from $70,000 to $90,000 per year. And for the elite specialists working on radio and TV transmission masts, those gargantuan structures piercing truly absurd altitudes, annual earnings can soar from $120,000 to a staggering $180,000. A segment of these professionals operates as independent contractors, capable of billing anywhere from $250 to $500 per hour for highly specialized tasks on exceptionally tall structures or during severe weather. Perform the arithmetic. A monthly commitment of 200 hours, charged at $400 per hour, nets you a potential $80,000 each month. But a vital caveat: such specialized engagements are inconsistent. They carry inherent dangers that no financial sum can ever truly offset, especially if you become the next tragic statistic. Allow me to pose a question. Among the 3 professions we've now examined, which would you genuinely possess the fortitude to undertake? A saturation diver, a crab fisherman, or a tower technician? Drop a comment below, sharing your choice and the reasons behind it. I am genuinely eager to hear your perspectives. And as you ponder that, we'll transition to our next occupation. One that involves intense fire, suffocating smoke, and a level of bravery I frankly don't believe I possess. Elite wildland firefighter, smoke jumper. When the average person envisions firefighters, images of brave professionals battling urban blazes typically come to mind. Yet, an extraordinary cadre of firefighters exists, operating on an entirely distinct plane. The smoke jumpers. These professionals do not wait for the fire to reach them. They parachute directly into the flames. You heard that correctly. They leap from aircraft over remote forest lands, frequently deep within inaccessible mountain ranges, to battle out-of-control wildfires. The complete process begins. Once a wildfire is spotted in a remote region, typically across the sprawling forests of the American West, places like Montana, Idaho, California, Oregon, a team of smoke jumpers gets the call. They fly to the site aboard a specially modified aircraft. Upon arrival, they literally leap from the plane at altitudes ranging from 400 to 1,000 meters, burdened with gear weighing up to 50 kilograms. The parachute descent is merely the beginning. They must land on unforgiving terrain, frequently choked with trees, jagged rocks, and thick undergrowth. Picture a parachute landing amidst a burning forest. Temperatures that can soar past 1,000 degrees Celsius. The smoke becomes so thick it chokes your breath even through a mask, and the fire itself can shift direction in mere seconds, driven by unpredictable winds. Once on the ground, the true labor commences. These specialists might remain isolated for days, occasionally weeks, battling the blaze solely with hand tools. They meticulously establish containment lines, felling trees, clearing brush, digging trenches, every bit of it by hand. Sleep becomes a luxury, an impossibility, when fire encircles you. They push until physical collapse, snatch a few hours of rest, then return to the inferno. The mortality rate among smoke jumpers stands chillingly high, particularly when juxtaposed with other professions. From 1940, the program's inception, until the present day, dozens of smoke jumpers have perished in the line of duty. The most infamous incident remains the Man Gulch Fire of 1949, where 13 smoke jumpers lost their lives. They were tragically overwhelmed by an abrupt wind shift, which propelled the blaze forward with the velocity of a speeding automobile. But beyond the fatalities, a grim toll of permanent injuries persists. Third-degree burns are a frequent occurrence. Lung damage, a direct consequence of inhaling toxic smoke, afflicts nearly every smoke jumper over the span of their career. Spinal issues, stemming from the repeated impact of parachute jumps while burdened with heavy equipment, are virtually inevitable. Let's turn to the financial figures. Smoke jumpers typically earn an annual base salary ranging from $45,000 to $60,000. Granted, this might not seem substantial given the extreme inherent dangers. But here's the crucial distinction. During wildfire season, which typically spans from June through September, they're authorized to work up to 70 hours weekly under emergency conditions. This accrues overtime pay, often doubling or even tripling their base wages. Experienced smoke jumpers, individuals boasting over a decade of service, can command between $80,000 and $120,000 annually. This figure encompasses all overtime earnings and hazardous duty bonuses. And team supervisors, formerly known as squad leaders, often exceed $150,000 per year. But another crucial factor, often overlooked, is seasonality. Many smoke jumpers engage in alternative professions throughout the winter months, when fire season is dormant. Some transition into instructor roles, others find work in construction, or operate as mountain guides. This inherent flexibility permits them to further augment their overall annual earnings. Offshore oil rig operator, our focus now shifts back to the ocean, though this time no dive is required. Instead, we remain at the surface, or more precisely, high above it, on massive metal structures that draw oil from the seabed. Offshore oil platforms, these are veritable floating cities. Some tower over 100 meters in height, housing hundreds of workers. They remain anchored in deep waters, sometimes stretching more than 300 kilometers from the coastline. And when I say deep waters, I'm talking about depths that can easily exceed 3,000 meters. To work on an oil platform means residing there for weeks, even months consecutively. The typical rotation dictates 28 days on, followed by 28 days off. But while you're out on the platform, any distinction between work and personal life simply vanishes. You are perpetually on call, always available, and constantly at risk. Roles on these platforms span from equipment operators to maintenance technicians, welders, drillers, and engineers. But regardless of their specific function, every single person shares the same extreme hazards. Explosions, for instance, are an ever-present danger. You're constantly handling highly flammable natural gas under immense pressure. A single leak, a misplaced spark, and the entire platform can erupt into an inferno within mere seconds. The Deepwater Horizon platform disaster in 2010 stands as a brutal, stark reminder of these exact dangers. 11 workers perished when that platform detonated in the Gulf of Mexico. The sheer force of the explosion was so immense, it could be heard over 60 kilometers away. And those few who survived faced an impossible choice. Leap from a height comparable to a 10-story building directly into an ocean already engulfed in flames. But explosions, as terrifying as they are, aren't the sole peril. Falls from immense heights, being struck by heavy equipment, prolonged exposure to toxic chemicals, and even shock attacks while swimming during emergency evacuations. All these grim realities have already befallen platform workers. The psychological aspect is equally devastating. You find yourself isolated from the entire world for weeks on end. Your only contact with family is via satellite phone or an unreliable, often sluggish internet connection. You eat, you sleep, and you've likely witnessed those striking images of helicopters flying perilously close to raging wildfires, dumping thousands of liters of water. Or perhaps helicopters plucking individuals from inaccessible mountain peaks, hovering midair as a rescuer rappels down. What often goes unacknowledged is just how incredibly dangerous and technically intricate this line of work truly becomes. Operating a helicopter is already widely regarded as among aviation's most demanding disciplines. Unlike an airplane, which achieves natural stability once airborne, a helicopter, conversely, perpetually strives to fall. Every single moment, the pilot makes constant, minute adjustments to the controls, purely to maintain the aircraft's equilibrium. Now, layer upon this the challenge of flying in extreme conditions. Near mountains, where winds can shift with brutal force and zero warning, or directly above infernos, where intense heat generates unpredictable air currents capable of sending a helicopter plummeting in mere seconds. Let's pivot our focus to wildfire suppression. These specialized pilots operate helicopters fitted with colossal buckets, capable of hauling between 1,000 and 3,000 liters of water. They must navigate to a lake or river, deftly submerge the bucket into the water while simultaneously stabilizing the aircraft, and then proceed directly to the blaze. Upon reaching the fire, they are tasked with unleashing the water with pinpoint accuracy, often flying at perilously low altitudes, frequently less than 30 meters above the roaring flames. The heat radiating upwards is so intense, it actually threatens to melt parts of the helicopter itself. Smoke becomes so thick, visibility can plummet to absolute zero in mere moments. And they execute this grueling sequence repeatedly, sometimes 100 times or more within a single day, until the inferno is finally brought under control. Moving on, let's discuss mountain rescue operations. These pilots are often tasked with landing, or at the very least, hovering in precarious locations where no conceivable landing zone exists. They hang suspended at dizzying altitudes, where the air grows so thin, the helicopter experiences significantly reduced lift, rendering every single maneuver more arduous and far more perilous. A miscalculation of mere centimeters could cause the rotor blades to clip the mountainside, resulting in an instant fatal plummet. And we're certainly not discussing only pristine weather conditions. Many of these critical rescues unfold amidst raging blizzards, with winds exceeding 80 kilometers per hour, whiteouts that reduce visibility to virtually non-existent, and temperatures plunging far below freezing, capable of icing over the aircraft's crucial instruments. The fatality rate among helicopter pilots engaged in wildfire suppression and rescue operations ranks among the absolute highest across all of civil aviation. Statistics unequivocally demonstrate this work is roughly 40 times more hazardous than piloting commercial airliners. From 2010 to 2020 alone, over 50 helicopter pilots perished in accidents directly linked to firefighting and rescue missions within the United States. Now, let's turn our attention to the figures you're likely anticipating. Entry-level helicopter pilots in standard operations typically earn between $60,000 and $80,000 annually. But once you venture into the specialized realm of wildfire suppression and mountain rescue, those figures shift dramatically, perhaps even shockingly. Pilots accumulating 5 to 10 years of experience in these specialized operations command salaries ranging from $90,000 to $130,000 per year. Highly seasoned pilots, the ones routinely summoned for the most perilous and intricate assignments, can see their annual earnings climb to between $150,000 and $220,000. But here's where the financial aspect becomes genuinely compelling. Many of these elite pilots operate as independent contractors or are employed by private, specialized aviation firms. They receive compensation on an hourly flight basis, and these rates can be truly astronomical. A highly skilled wildfire suppression pilot might charge anywhere from $600 to $1,000 per flight hour during peak fire season. During major incidents, when they're airborne 12 to 14 hours daily, you can swiftly calculate the potential earnings. We are talking about $12,000 per day in certain scenarios. Mountain rescue pilots, especially those operating in Alaska or the Rockies, often command even higher wages due to the extreme specialization required. Some charge as much as $1,500 per hour for rescues conducted in severe weather conditions. Underwater cave rescue diver, and now, we turn our attention to the profession many experts consider the most dangerous globally. This is no overstatement. It's a reality affirmed by occupational safety organizations worldwide. We are speaking of specialized underwater cave rescue divers. To truly grasp the inherent lethality of this work, one must first comprehend the environment. Underwater caves are entirely submerged tunnel systems, frequently too narrow for a diver to turn their body, where visibility can plummet to absolute zero. A single misstep here might stir up sediment, leaving you utterly disoriented. And critically, there exists no direct path to the surface above. Picture yourself 200 meters deep inside an underwater cave. You are navigating a passage so constricting that your oxygen tanks audibly scrape against the rock walls on either side. Suddenly, you inadvertently brush the cave floor, instantly kicking up a thick cloud of silt. In that precise moment, all vision vanishes. Literally nothing. Your powerful dive light becomes useless because its beam simply reflects back off the countless particles suspended in the murky water. At this point, you are completely disoriented. You have lost all sense of direction. There's a real chance you might be swimming the wrong way, propelling yourself deeper into the cave's inner depths. And your only recourse is the limited air supply strapped to your back. Once those tanks deplete, death is certain. No plan B exists. No rapid emergency extraction is possible. You are entirely, chillingly on your own. Such is the treacherous environment where these professionals operate. Moreover, their task isn't mere exploration. They are extracting individuals, people already gripped by panic, burning through their oxygen reserves at an accelerated rate, often injured or in deep shock from the ordeal. Perhaps the most globally recognized retrieval unfolded in Thailand during 2018, when a youth soccer team became trapped within a flooded cave system. Elite cave rescuers converged from international locations. Tragically, one diver, Saman Kunan, a former Thai Navy SEAL, perished mid-rescue. His air supply was exhausted on his return journey after delivering vital provisions to the stranded boys. This incident starkly illustrates the inherent peril. Even the world's most skilled, boasting decades of experience, can succumb, and their deaths aren't always due to error. They die because the environment itself is utterly unforgiving. A minor gear malfunction, a fleeting instant of ill fortune, and it's over. The preparatory regimen required to become a cave rescue diver is almost beyond belief. First, one must achieve certified diver status. Subsequently, advanced certification becomes essential. Then, technical diving certification. Following that, cavern certification. Only at that point can full cave diving training commence, a discipline demanding years for true mastery. But mere certifications, those are just the initial steps. Exceptional physical conditioning is paramount. Absolute psychological command over panic responses is indispensable. One must possess the ability to resolve intricate problems under immense duress, all while life itself ticks down to seconds. And, critically, you must be prepared to wager your own existence to preserve others. Precisely calculating the mortality rate among professional cave divers presents a challenge, given the community's small size. Yet studies project that roughly 1 in 10 seasoned cave divers will, at some point, perish in a diving mishap. Let that sink in. 1 in 10. This occupational fatality rate actually surpasses that of soldiers deployed in active war zones. The topic shifts now to financial compensation. Here, the situation grows complex. Cave rescue divers seldom pursue this as a full-time profession. Constant demand, quite simply, doesn't exist. Most are professionals engaged in other fields: commercial diving, instruction, scientific research, only summoned for rescue operations as the need arises. When called upon, particularly for high-profile international rescues, their earnings might range from $5,000 to $15,000 for each day of operation. Yet, a stark truth emerges. Many decline any payment whatsoever. They act from a profound sense of duty. It is the knowledge that they are, quite literally, the sole individuals on Earth possessing the requisite skills to preserve lives in such harrowing circumstances. For those professionally engaged as specialized technical cave divers, serving exploration firms, scientific research bodies, or documentary productions, incomes fluctuate significantly. Divers possessing moderate experience typically command between $80,000 and $120,000 annually. The genuine experts, individuals with decades of accumulated experience and an international standing, might secure earnings ranging from $150,000 to $300,000 each year. particularly when affiliated with major research organizations or documentary production houses. A select few of the world's most renowned cave divers function as consultants for rescue operations, levying fees anywhere from $10,000 to $50,000 per consultation, contingent upon the situation's inherent complexity. And for cave exploration expeditions, those funded by scientific or geographical organizations, their remuneration can span from $20,000 to $100,000 per expedition, which itself might extend from several weeks to many months. Having now reviewed these 7 utterly extreme professions, what are your thoughts? Which one, in particular, left the deepest impression? Was it the saturation diver in the ocean's crushing depths? The crab fisherman confronting the relentless Bering Sea? Perhaps the technician scaling 600-meter towers? A smoke jumper parachuting directly into Beijing infernos? The offshore oil rig operator? A helicopter pilot navigating above sprawling wildfires? Or the underwater cave rescue diver? Share your thoughts below. Which profession proved most striking, and would you possess the fortitude to undertake any of them? The unvarnished truth behind extreme wages. Having now examined these 7 occupations and their corresponding remunerations, we must delve into a truth barely acknowledged. What precisely accounts for such elevated compensation? The immediate, apparent answer lies in the inherent risk of fatality. But this constitutes merely one segment of the complete equation. The initial factor involves the scarcity of qualified personnel. A mere handful possess the unique blend of physical, mental, and emotional aptitudes demanded by these professions. And of that small contingent, even fewer demonstrate a willingness to embrace the inherent dangers. When supply remains critically low, yet demand persists, compensation naturally ascends. The second crucial factor centers on the substantial cost associated with specialized training and certification. To qualify as a saturation diver, one could readily expend $50,000 or more on comprehensive training and essential equipment. Becoming a specialized helicopter pilot, conversely, often entails an outlay exceeding $100,000 for flight hours and requisite certifications. This significant initial investment absolutely demands recoupment. The third influencing factor pertains to the remarkably finite duration of these careers. One cannot realistically endure as a crab fisherman in the frigid Bering Sea at the age of 60. Their physical constitution simply will not permit it. Most individuals in these demanding professions possess career windows spanning a mere 15 to 20 years at their absolute maximum. Consequently, their imperative is to amass sufficient earnings during this compressed time frame to sustain themselves throughout the remainder of their lives. The fourth factor, and perhaps the most crucial one, is the long-term impact on physical well-being. These occupations invariably inflict lasting damage upon the human body. Deep-sea divers often grapple with joint issues and neurological disorders. Wildland firefighters frequently suffer from severe pulmonary damage. Offshore rig workers contend with significant hearing loss and debilitating spinal ailments. The physical repercussions of these demanding careers will remain with these individuals, a constant burden for their entire lives. Yet, a different facet, one seldom brought into conversation, also emerges: the profound psychological and social toll. Spending months adrift at sea or confined on an oil rig means missing birthdays, Christmas celebrations, the births of children, and graduation ceremonies. These are irreplaceable moments, gone forever. Such an emotional expenditure truly carries an immeasurable weight. Many of these professionals find their personal relationships strained. Divorce rates among them soar to disproportionately high levels, and depression, alongside pervasive anxiety, frequently takes root. The reliance on substances to cope with overwhelming stress and deep-seated trauma manifests as a genuine, pressing issue within these specific communities. So, when one considers an annual income of $300,000, it's not merely compensation for the constant threat of mortality. Instead, it represents recompense for years of forfeited lives, for health irrevocably sacrificed, for fractured relationships, and for enduring psychological scars. Is it worth it? This single question echoes through countless minds. And the honest, unvarnished truth? It hinges entirely upon an individual's unique priorities and the specific circumstances shaping their existence. For certain individuals, These demanding roles present a rare chance to amass in mere years what might otherwise require decades within conventional professions. Consider someone from a low-income background. 5 years spent as a saturation diver could translate directly into purchasing a family home, funding their children's college education, and establishing a robust financial bedrock capable of transforming generations. Yet for others, particularly those with a deep-seated affinity for adrenaline and extreme challenges, these roles provide something no mere office job ever could: a profound sense of purpose, intense engagement, and the visceral feeling of truly being alive. A surprising number of individuals within these fields report never having felt so utterly present, so sharply focused, or so profoundly connected to each fleeting moment as when their very lives hang in the balance. But for a vast many more, no sum of money, however substantial, could ever justify the cost. The staggering price paid in terms of physical health, strained relationships, and shattered peace of mind is, quite simply, insurmountable. And that, undeniably, represents a completely valid personal decision. What these professionals collectively teach us is this: value isn't solely quantifiable in mere dollars and cents. There's undeniable worth in personal safety, in the bedrock of stability, and in the profound privilege of being truly present for one's family. And then there's the distinct value found in fierce challenge, in raw adventure, and in the relentless pursuit of one's absolute limits. No single choice inherently surpasses another. They are simply divergent paths. Ultimately, each individual must personally ascertain which specific forms of value hold the greatest significance for their unique journey through life. Final reflections. Having now glimpsed into these 7 extreme professions, one might hope for a fresh perspective on the intricate interplay of labor, inherent risk, and ultimate reward. These individuals are not merely people undertaking hazardous tasks solely for financial gain. Rather, they stand as highly trained specialists, masters of skills many of us can scarcely begin to fully comprehend. They are the dedicated individuals who ensure the lights blaze brightly in our homes, all made possible through the perilous extraction of oil and natural gas. They are the vigilant guardians safeguarding our forests and communities from the relentless fury of devastating wildfires. They are the unseen mechanics keeping our vital communication infrastructure seamlessly operational. They are the brave souls who willingly jeopardize everything they possess to rescue the lives of complete strangers. The next time you find yourself lamenting your own professional endeavors, and, let's be honest, we all do, pause and consider that some individuals commence their workday by parachuting directly into raging wildfires or descending a staggering 300 meters beneath the ocean surface. This isn't to say your personal challenges aren't entirely valid. They absolutely are. Every single occupation carries its unique set of inherent difficulties and persistent stresses. But embracing such a broad perspective might just enable us to appreciate what we currently possess, and perhaps subtly complain a tad less. And for anyone truly considering a step into one of these particularly demanding professions, the guidance remains remarkably simple. Conduct your research with utmost thoroughness. Engage directly with those actively working in the field right now. Grasp not merely the potential earnings, but also the genuine, often hidden costs. And importantly, look beyond just the immediate 5-year horizon. Project yourself 50 years into your future life, because ultimately, the ultimate decision isn't solely dictated by the sheer amount of money you might accrue. No, it's truly about the specific kind of existence you aspire to cultivate and the lasting legacy you ultimately wish to forge. As we reach the conclusion of this particular video, my sincere hope is that you've absorbed a great deal about these truly extraordinary occupations. Now, I genuinely need you to undertake 4 specific small actions for me. First off, if you haven't yet clicked that subscribe button for the Salary Uncovered channel, please do so immediately. It's quick, a mere moment, and it vastly assists me in continuing to produce high-quality content specifically for your benefit. Secondly, please grant this video a like, a simple thumbs up. That gesture signals to YouTube that the content holds genuine value, thereby assisting more viewers in discovering this crucial information. Thirdly, and this is important, share this video widely with your friends, your family members, and your colleagues at work. Especially, do send it to that one particular person who seems perpetually discontent with their current occupation. And fourth, please drop a comment right below this video. telling us which of these professions genuinely impressed you the most, and whether you possess the sheer courage to undertake any of them yourselves. I personally read every single comment and truly enjoy hearing all of your insightful opinions. Thank you so incredibly much for sticking with us and watching all the way through to the very end. We'll definitely catch you in the next Salary Uncovered video.